Hey guys, welcome to News Dump.
As we all know, originality died somewhere around 2005 roughly, and in the years since then, humanity has been forced to rehash the existing finite number of ideas over and over and over again to keep itself entertained. And it's not just movies and video games. The latest reboot announcement is actually for a sports league from 2001 that only lasted one season because it ended up not being very good. But that's the beauty of the passage of time. You do something notable yet entirely mediocre, and then 20 years later, everyone looks back on it with rose-colored glasses and kind of misses it.
That was fun. Instead of just maybe pulling old videos from it or something, just do it over.
You know what I miss? Lead paint. Should bring that back.
It was effective. So yeah, this week, Vince McMahon, owner of World Wrestling Entertainment, announced that the XFL, that's how you have to say it legally, which is short for the Extreme Football League, will be making its return in 2020, 19 years after its first and only season.
Woo!
Now we realize 95% of you watching this have lived your entire lives in this current post 9/11 hellscape, so you probably weren't around for the XFL, or if you were too young because, guys, it's a little bit more extreme than your regular football league. Put the kids to
Lock
bed.
up the kids.
So let's give you a little background here. Back in the late 90s, Vince McMahon wanted to purchase the Canadian Football League and then move all the teams out of Canada. But for some reason, that ridiculous idea didn't work out. So he instead teamed up with NBC on a 50-50 joint venture to create a brand new professional football league with a presentation and image more in line with the Attitude Era WWF than with the NFL.
Now, unlike those uptight cucks at the NFL, the XFL would have way fewer penalties. It would allow players to showboat and talk shit way more. They could choose their own weird-ass custom jersey names like He Hate Me.
Death blow.
Players and coaches would be mic'd up throughout the games. Hot, sexy cheerleaders with a camera in their locker room. And instead of a coin toss for opening kickoff, they just put the ball in the middle of the field and let both teams run at it, which resulted in many injuries.
Yeah.
Also, the WWF and NBC would own the entire league, including the teams, as opposed to franchising things out. What could go wrong?
Yeah. All right, well, actually, we lied back there about the XFL standing for Extreme Football League. It actually didn't stand for anything because there was already an Extreme Football League that was trademarked. So while XFL was meant to imply Extreme Football League, it was literally just 3 letters. Anyway, the XFL started out with 8 teams. The San Francisco Demons, the Memphis Maniacs, with an X, the Los Angeles Extreme, the Las Vegas Outlaws, the Orlando Rage, the New York Hitmen, Jesus, the Chicago Enforcers, and the Birmingham Blast. The Birmingham Blast was, however, changed to the Birmingham Thunderbolts after locals complained that the name was insensitive given Birmingham's history of deadly terror bombings like the 1963 church bombing and the 1998 abortion clinic bombing.
Oh, fine, we'll change the name.
Yeah.
So anyway, there was a ton of hype leading up to the XFL season. Our theory is that the popularity of the NFL Blitz video games, along with just the WWF,
It was a huge time for the
yeah,
WWF.
it made people think that this is going to be football with people giving out pile drivers and teabagging the people they tackle. Maybe someone would die. It would be sick.
Yeah.
None of that really happened, though. It ended up just being kind of subpar football featuring players that didn't make it into the NFL draft. One particularly bad omen for the league was a promotional blimp flying nearby an NFL game, crashing into a restaurant. This is before it even started. Hey, NFL, you want to watch real football? Oh, God.
Should have been a very clear sign.
So after all that initial hype, the ratings steadily went down, and the league's image wasn't helped one bit by the mainstream sports media establishment mocking the whole idea relentlessly. And in the end, NBC and the WWF each lost around $35 million on the venture, and no second season, guys.
I mean, based on inflation, that $35 million is a lot more. So there's a lot more to lose this time. That means there might be more on the line. Now, to be fair, though, a lot of the XFL's innovations ended up getting adopted by the NFL. Stuff like more exciting camera systems, more insight into players' personalities and lives, and putting microphones on players and coaches. Also, a handful of XFL players ended up playing in the NFL afterwards and doing pretty well for themselves. But anyways, the big question now is why? Why try that whole thing again? And what will differentiate the XFL from the NFL this time? And the answer to why is pretty obvious. A big chunk of the country right now is pissed off at the NFL. On one side, there's people pissed off about the lack of player safety and rampant concussions, and on the other side are people who think any efforts to fix that are pussy cucks, and also players should be forced to stand for the national anthem.
So NFL ratings in general are down. It's a pretty sensible opportunity to introduce a new football league, I think. As for what gimmicks they'll be using this time around, it sounds like there won't be much of that Attitude Era swagger at all. Instead, Vince McMahon is simply promising slightly different rules that make the games faster, so they're like 2 hours long.
These football games are too long.
Yeah. I mean, they are long. Also, since McMahon will be the sole owner of the entire league this time around, including the teams, he'll have a lot more control over player conduct, which of course includes kneeling for that goddamn national anthem. He told reporters, quote, "People don't want social and political issues coming into play when they're trying to be entertained. We want someone who wants to take a knee to do their version of that on their own time."
Hey, how about not playing the anthem if you don't want it to be political?
Yeah, he said another thing. He's like, it's a time-honored tradition. I'm like, no.
Not really.
No, it isn't. It's
No.
only been about like 15 years.
Yeah, just if you want to save time, get right into the game. Those singers that you buy to sing it, they stretch that shit all the way out because they want all the attention.
Yeah,
Disgraceful to the goddamn anthem.
Here's another big one that surely will not bite him in the ass. He says that no one with any sort of criminal record will be allowed to play for the league. So
Just call us the PFL, Pussy Football League.
yeah,
It's the opposite of what it was originally going
that
for.
disqualifies roughly 50% of all NFL players, possibly more, from coming
It was
over.
supposed to be the bad boys version of the NFL.
These are the good boys. The good boys of football. They say their prayers.
They
They
stand.
go to church on Sunday.
They stand for the flag.
They don't drink. They stand for the flag. They respect the troops.
The only way that I could see this working is if they kept everything completely under wraps and orchestrated it just like the WWE, where they were like, all right, and it's going to be the fourth quarter. There's going to be 10 seconds left. And so this team is going to throw literally the longest Hail Mary pass in the history of football and win the game. And it's like, oh, cool, it's a storyline. I'm watching a soap opera for
like
football.
Harlem Globetrotters of football.
Yeah, no, you spin
That'd
it.
be sick.
Yeah, but as long as you're spinning it, you can't get tackled.
Players betray their teams and pull
They
their
jump.
jersey
Yeah,
off
they
and
jump onto the other side.
like, oh my God! Oh, by God! By God! He switched from the Los Angeles Extreme to the Las Vegas
Outlaws, whatever it was. Yeah.
in the middle of the game.
Can you believe it?
Can you believe it, King?
I don't know if that's legal. We'll have to check with the booth, but anyways, it really sounds like just another football league. I mean, how many of you guys out there are watching arena football?
That exists.
You know, my Tampa Bay Storm, they probably still exist. Anyways, it just sounds like it's slightly different than the one that already exists. Now, with 2 years to go before launch, it's really anyone's guess whether this takes off or fails for a second time. But hey, if you like watching football, you'll at the very least have more football to watch in 2020.
Yeah. I just like watching balls fly through the air.
But speaking of reviving old ideas, you might not realize it because there really hasn't been too much solid news about it in quite a while, but there's still a sequel coming for the Bill and Ted franchise for some reason. And this week, we actually got some new information about it. It's still, as long as they keep the right things in place, it does actually sound cool. So, first of all, believe it or not, Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter are both still on board to bring these characters back to life after nearly 30 years since the last movie hit theaters. Now here's the latest. This is all thanks to an interview with Digital Spy with co-creator Ed Solomon.
So he says they have a director lined up, Dean Parasot, who previously directed Galaxy Quest, alongside a ton of comedy TV series. Okay.
Yeah.
Steven Soderbergh is on board as one of the producers. Okay. And
There you
they've officially announced the title of the film, which will be Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Yeah.
In the interview, he also said, quote, "We have a script that we really are proud of, that we worked very hard on, that we've done many iterations of, and we did it on spec, meaning we spent years working on it because we wanted to get it right creatively. This is not, hey, let's all cash in on the Bill and Ted thing for money. This is the opposite. This is, we love these characters. They've been with us for our whole lives. Chris and me and Alex and Keanu, and we wanted to visit them again as middle-aged men. We thought it would be really fun and funny and sweet. We really think there's another movie to be done that is the opposite of cynical, that is actually made with love. It'll be made with love and affection for the characters and affection for the fans of Bill and Ted. All of us really want to give the people who love Bill and Ted and people who haven't even discovered Bill and Ted yet a movie that is worthy of their affection. And we're trying. Worthy, did you catch that?
Yeah. I'm excited to see the Wild Stallions again. Although, at this point, I wouldn't think it would be possible to cash in on the whole Bill and Ted thing. But anyway.
They stole the phone booth from Doctor Who.
It's a police booth, though, in Doctor Who. They were going to do a car, Or it was like a van or something, but they're like, Back to the Future just came out a couple years ago. We're gonna look like thieves. Let's steal from the Brits. Because the internet, it didn't really exist in a meaningful way back then. People now, they're Anglophiles.
Yeah.
It's different. But back then it was like, who gives a shit what the UK's doing on TV?
Yeah.
So, now regarding the actual plot of the movie, Solomon said, there's actually a scene, one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, where middle-aged 50-year-old Bill and Ted return to the Circle K and see their teen selves and Rufus and actually interact with their teenage selves, played by their actual teenage selves. They return to that scene at the Circle K when Bill and Ted first meet themselves. Only now they're watching their younger selves and looking at the exuberance and joy that they had at that time in their lives. And they see Rufus. They see George Carlin. Now, he obviously addressed the subject of dealing with the death of Carlin and how it would be handled in the movie, adding, George Carlin is so deeply missed by all of us, there is not just an homage to him, it's more than that. His absence is a part of the whole movie.
Okay. So, yeah, despite all the pieces being in place for this thing to get made, they're still running into trouble with getting the movie financed.
Yeah.
Get that Circle K money. Solomon explained that Hollywood would prefer the idea of a Bill and Ted reboot with some young hunks, which would just mean, taking two young actors, redoing the whole thing entirely for a new generation. Poorly. Hopefully, with the response that we've seen online to these new details, studios will choose to make this film instead, and then maybe, if they absolutely have to, they'll keep the franchise going with Bill and Ted's daughters or something.
Yeah, there's an idea. Mm-hmm. We also have an update regarding that whole Crocodile Dundee trailer that we were actually pretty excited about recently. Spoiler alert, apparently the whole thing's just, sadly, an advertisement for Australian tourism. Probably. It's very confusing, but here's the latest information. Earlier this week, a local Australian news organization, the Sydney Morning Herald, reported that according to their sources, this whole thing is a viral campaign, and it's something cooked up by Tourism Australia. It's not going to be an actual full-fledged Crocodile Dundee movie, according to the Sydney Morning Herald.
Fake news.
Yeah.
The first thing that was suspicious was the fact that whoever was behind this movie had been able to keep its entire production a secret in an industry where, at the very least, rumors would have been reported at some point. Mm-hmm. Then there's the fact that co-star Chris Hemsworth he just so happens to be the ambassador for Tourism Australia, and the director listed on the project is a commercial director based in Sydney. Mm-hmm. The trailer also features a logo for Screen Australia, but it doesn't appear anywhere on their list of upcoming projects. Basically, it appears to be a tourism advert that people are suggesting is going to run during the Super Bowl, where all those big budget commercials with celebrity cameos aren't really out of the ordinary.
No.
Smart move, I guess.
I mean, they're
disappointing, but
they got a big boost back in the 80s with the original Crocodile Dundee, although it really does set a weird stage for people visiting from the States, because you just walk around going, "G'day, mate. Put another
That's
shrimp
not a
on
knife.
This is a knife. Oh!" And then the whole Foster's beer thing.
Yeah.
It's just like, guys, we don't even fucking drink
You go
that
to
here.
Sydney, you're just like, I feel like I'm in fucking Toronto. What the fuck?
Okay, Hungry Jack. It's just fucking Burger King with a mask on. Dumb. Although, the rumors are true. You can buy a bottle opener made with kangaroo nutsacks.
Yeah. You should.
Still, though, back to the ad. Whether it's just to throw people off the trail or not, the film has been updated with a synopsis. And that reads, Crocodile Dundee is back. Well, actually, he's missing in the outback. And the only person who might be able to find him is the loud-mouthed American son no one knew he had. Introducing Danny McBride as Brian Dundee. This son of a legend is forced to channel his Aussie roots as he embarks on the ultimate adventure in the land down under. It's time to live up to the family name. Also, the marketing team behind it continues to release clips for the film, including a recent one where McBride tries desperately to connect with a water buffalo. So yeah, it seems like it's probably just a creative viral ad, but it also seems like it would be a hilarious reboot to the franchise. Maybe it's both?
Yeah. I mean, Machete was a fake commercial.
Yeah.
And then it was a movie.
Ernest was a team of people that made commercials nationwide that eventually turned into the Ernest movies, that eventually turned into the Tyler Perry movies.
Those cavemen in the Geico commercials ended up spawning one of the greatest sitcoms of all time.
Yeah, and hopefully Vince McMahon brings that back.
Yeah, we're bringing back cavemen.
Yeah. Wow. Nick, what's his name, would be very excited about it.
Nick Kroll?
Yeah, Nick Kroll.
I think he's moved on.
I don't know.
I don't think he needs the cavemen anymore. In other reboot news that may or may not happen, it sounds like we're getting another attempt at reviving the Robocop franchise.
No.
This time, though, it sounds like it's going to use the same strategy that a lot of classic franchise revivals are using lately.
Being good?
Well, so like the upcoming Halloween and Terminator movies are doing this. This new Robocop in development is just going to pretend that everything after the first Robocop movie never happened, which is good because all of those were bad. Just like everything after Terminator 2 was bad and everything after Halloween 2 was bad. Just get rid of them. So yeah, the news comes via original Robocop screenwriter Ed Neumeier, who said this.
It's nice to see that people are still interested in Robocop, and they have me working on a new one at MGM right now, so maybe we'll get another one out of it. We're not supposed to say too much. There's been a bunch of other Robocop movies, and there was recently a remake, and I would say this would be kind of going back to the old Robocop we all love and starting there and going forward. So it's a continuation really of the first movie, in my mind. So it's a little bit more of the old school thing.
What can I say? I'm old school.
Yeah.
Out of that, the original Robocop still holds up. Fuck me.
I mean, it's a great movie.
Great movie. Get Paul Verhoeven back in.
That new one really messed things up.
It's just bad. It was just generic and bad.
It's like they own the rights. They're like, we gotta make a movie before we lose the rights to the name.
And you know how the iconic Robocop outfit is just like iconic. Let's just get rid of that.
Let's get rid of the whole thing and make him look like Iron Man.
Yeah. Fuck you. Anyway,
Aren't they? They're debuting that statue soon. It's done. I don't know if it's up yet or not, but it's done. Detroit, you have your hero.
Also in reboots, Ryan Reynolds is teaming up with his Deadpool screenwriters and friends of our show, Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, to make a new movie version of Clue, the classic board game currently owned by Hasbro. Unlike other questionable adaptations of Hasbro properties, Clue already proved that it can make for a damn good movie all the way back in 1985 with a genuinely good movie starring Tim Curry, Christopher Lloyd, Madeline Kahn, and Michael McKean. At its core, Clue is just a murder mystery comedy featuring names and locations from the game, and
Colonel Mustard.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah, I don't know, this sounds like something that Reynolds and those two writers could easily recreate while putting their own spin on it, so we approve this message.
That's a reboot I can get behind.
Yeah.
Now here's one that isn't a reboot, but rather a video game movie adaptation, which seems to fail even more often than reboots, but here you go. In this case, it seems there might be a chance at success because it's Michael Bay's production company developing a Duke Nukem movie with John Cena potentially starring. The Duke Nukem franchise was itself a sort of parody of over-the-top macho action movies from the 80s, so if this is done with the same approach as something like Kung Fury, it seems like it could be pretty great, actually. I still don't see... We were hypothetically casting a Wolfenstein movie in a conversation the other day, and you said John Cena, and I was like, John Cena's too nice of a guy to, like, be in this role. I'd love for him to blow my mind, but specifically in the Duke Nukem thing, I can't see John Cena like talking about his fucking genitals and like banging hookers and stuff.
Yeah, that's another thing. A lot of Duke Nukem wouldn't really fly.
No.
Now as well as it did in like 1991.
Yeah. So
this new Duke Nukem respects women.
Anyways.
Yeah. Finally, moving on to trailers. Let's just run through these nice and fast. The Hurricane Heist is a movie about a heist that happens during a hurricane.
And you said everyone ran out of ideas in 2005, Elliot. Well, you were wrong.
I stand corrected.
Yeah.
So The Hurricane Heist is from the same director as the original Fast and the Furious and Triple X. It looks stupid as all hell, but hey, at least this movie is completely upfront about exactly what it is. If you like natural disasters, and you like heists, and you like fast cars, The Hurricane Heist is all your favorite things in one movie.
I was very surprised to see that Toby Kebbell was in this, so...
Poor guy.
I mean, maybe he's anchoring this whole film, and it's actually going to be really, really good.
Yeah.
It'll probably see limited release, so check it out on VOD sometime after that.
I watched this before I watched like Geostorm.
I heard that was so bad it's good as well, though, as in addition to...
I mean, I missed the 40X run, so what's the point anymore?
Yeah, I guess you're right. Coming to YouTube Red. If you still have YouTube Red, thanks, because it helps this show out. But there's also other stuff you can watch. And now, we got a trailer for I'm Poppy, a new series based around one of YouTube's strangest creators, Poppy. And this basically looks like David Lynch for the YouTube generation, which that's cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
This looks really bonkers.
I like go ahead, freak people out. It's
Yeah.
nice. The premise seems to be a fictional look behind the scenes of Poppy, with some sort of weird cultish secret society trying to harm her in some way, as well as a jealous mannequin out for revenge. Basically, it's playing off a lot of the weird conspiracy theories about Poppy that arose when her channel got big at first. It looks bonkers. The first episode, it's out now, so
yeah,
you're already on Red. You can go watch it
I
right
haven't
now.
watched it yet, but I clicked through it, and it's, there's the devils in there. Looks great.
Yeah.
my kind of content. There's also finally a trailer for HBO's Andre the Giant documentary, and it looks fantastic. It's produced by Bill Simmons, the guy who originally ran ESPN's 30 for 30 documentary series, along with Grantland and a bunch of other shit. And it feels pretty similar to 30 for 30, telling the story of a literally larger-than-life man. Just a huge man who became a global superstar while dealing with serious personal health issues that ended up, killing him.
Yeah.
It features interviews with fellow wrestling contemporaries like Hulk Hogan, Jerry the King Lawler, Mean Gene Okerlund, and Vince McMahon, as well as people he acted with like Billy Crystal. And it just looks like a damn great doc. It comes out on HBO on April 10th.
It's a shame that the Iron Sheik's not in it. Maybe he'll make an appearance. Finally, right now, there's a documentary playing at Sundance called Won't You Be My Neighbor? A deep dive into the life of Fred Rogers, aka Mr. Rogers. And while us normies have to wait until at least June to see it, they've released a short clip online, and gosh darn it, Mr. Rogers was too good for this world.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, like, we're so fucking jaded right now that you expect, like, oh, Mr. Rogers. He presented such a holier, just such a squeaky clean image. The guy's got to have some skeletons.
They really didn't.
No.
Apparently, from the reviews that I've read, they really didn't find anything. And that was like one of the things that the thing was like in the documentary was like, well, we're gonna have to go through everything and see what his life was like for this documentary and be as fair and unbiased as possible.
Shatter our image.
And didn't really find anything.
No, turns out he was
a saint.
Genuinely good person, a living saint.
Yeah. So that'll be out in June. I'm excited to see that. And really quick, also there's a movie that just dropped on Netflix about National Lampoon, directed by David Wayne. I'm very excited to watch that. Go check that out. And
called like a futile and stupid gesture or something like that.
You'll see it on there. They're probably advertising the hell out of it on the front page. But
really good.
Go check those out. You have a busy weekend. Go watch all the Oscar nom movies while they're still in theaters, and have a good time. We'll see you guys on Monday, 11:30 a.m. for ETC Live. Bye. Watch these episodes. Barney's a sex addict. Not an addict. He's actually helping people get orgasms.
He's got a big purple dick.
He's helping people get orgasms.